I'm here with Luap ahead of his exhibition Lifelines, which is going to take place at the Bottle Factory, opening on the 6th of December. And Luap has been working on this body of work for over 2 years. We're so excited to be sharing it. It's going to be an incredible show. Thank you so much for being here. The last show was quite figurative, and you're very well known for your portrayal of the Pink Bear figure, and you dress up in the Pink Bear, and he's a big part of your art practice. Could you tell us how you started using it and how the story with the Pink Bear developed?
So the Pink Bear came about when I was doing cognitive behavioural therapy, and it was like a childhood memory from when I was at a theme park with my parents and brother. So like really happy, positive memory.
Okay.
And at the time I was kind of painting all these dead trees and was kind of in this dark hole in my life, and it was kind of taking something happy and colourful and emotive and putting that within my work and putting that within my life. And it was just, we was kind of doing these drawing exercises in therapy, and it was kind of, one of them was like drawing a tree of how I felt now and drawing a tree of what I wanted to be. And then was looking at, what would it look like if we put other things within these scenes. So it was quite figurative, the therapy. And then I started to do that within my work. I kind of went out, like designed this costume, got it made, and then went out and took photos of that, and then started working from the photos and creating the paintings.
What I love about this current series is that the Pink Bear is still there, but you've abstracted him, or you've abstracted it more. Can you tell me about this development and visually how it's worked out?
I think I kind of wanted to challenge myself with the work. I'd been, for the last, 10 years, I've been kind of putting the bear in these scenes, and I kind of wanted to, take that warmth and colour and kind of almost not bathe people in it, but kind of create this safe space for other people to kind of talk about their narratives and their stories, similar to how it helped me. So yeah, the Pink Bear's not there in its whole, and it's kind of, it's like, how like memories kind of merge and kind of become, like remnants or kind of little bits of happy memories. It's kind of, I wanted to kind of piece that together, and it almost just becomes this abstracted form of the bear. So there's still like, little details like the noses and the eyes and the texture of the fur that's kind of been really abstracted into paint marks. But it was just about kind of creating this safe space.
And that's what this series is about, and that's what I love about them, because they're all kind of issued of conversations that you've had with the sitters. So you've become very, very involved with your sitters, and the way in which you're portraying them is it's direct involvement with their own personal stories, and that's what you were looking for in selecting your sitters. It's like they had to have kind of an emotional storyline, something to share. You asked of each one of us to come with an object which had an emotional value. So it's such an emotionally intense process. How can you detach from it, and how can you make part of like the psychoanalytical part of the story and the being a painter? I think they're so closely merged together in this specific body of work. So how do you keep your head clear in the process of it?
I think when I was actually doing the initial, sit-ins with the subjects, it was kind of, they were quite emotional because people are kind of revealing these stories to you firsthand. And telling their journey with mental health from their perspective. And some of them kind of just, took me away because it was so kind of, personal to them, and it was kind of quite special that they would share that with me and then use that narrative to kind of form the work. So I think in the initial sitting, there was kind of this connection with the sitter as they shared that story, but then because the work takes so long, you can't stay in that mindset the whole time, or else I think you just you're not being in a good space. So I think when I kind of work on the paintings, I'm just focused on the details and kind of how the work kind of comes together as a whole.
Yeah.
And try not to think too much about the story and the narrative. I think that's kind of formed in the initial sketches. And kind of, you know, as people told me details of their stories, it was kind of like how would that detail or that kind of feeling transcribe into the actual composition of the work.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. In that, like this makes sense within the context of where you come from as well. You were really successful working in advertising, and I guess that's very process involved, isn't it? When you have to like concentrate on the practice based element of making an image. And
I think within advertising, it's kind of the image has to do storytelling. And it has to kind of be arresting and kind of grab your attention. So you're looking to kind of tell something to people within one frame. And I think that's kind of what moves into the art world as well. You're like trying to tell a whole story, but with a static image.
But I think when the story is told kind of honestly, like you do it, that people immediately gravitate towards it. Because a well-told story is a story everybody can empathize with. And I think you do that so well in your paintings because they're so full. There's so much motif and the objects create this narrative as well because it's the story between the sitter and the objects. I mean, we're sitting with your portrait here. It's you and your cat, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, the emotive story of each portrait has an incredible value. You have some incredible sponsorships with this show, one which includes Nikon as well. Can you tell me about your relationship with Nikon?
So Nikon I've used since I was, I think, 16. My first camera was a Nikon.
Really?
Like when my nana died, I bought like my first like proper camera with the money she left me.
Really?
So I've kind of used it, so it's like a really genuine connection to my camera, and it's like, I think it's that storytelling again that, memories hold, so dearly within the photography. So it's kind of a natural partnership, and I think just the power of storytelling through photography.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an immediate way of capturing things that are happening around you.
Yeah.
As well, and it's a big part of your process. Could you tell me about the process of making these?
So these works, obviously, it was done in like my photography studio, and it was all kind of shot into kind of fractured mirrors, and each mirror was fractured, specifically for each sitter, and it was kind of. Would break, several mirrors to kind of get the right kind of composition within the frame, because sometimes it would fracture and it become too distorted or become almost like a caricature of them, which isn't what it was kind of somewhere between, I guess, like fractured decay and kind of, I guess, a bit tragic, but also an emotive honesty, and it was kind of merging those two together rather than just kind of something that looked fun and not serious. So it was quite tricky.
Yeah.
And then, once the photos are kind of captured, then I work from them to kind of create the painting. So, it's about all the little details that kind of captured.
So do you pick one specific photo that you then paint, or is it an amalgamation of lots of pictures?
I try to do it as one picture. So each one... Some of them were an amalgamation, but I think with my photography, because, AI and stuff's so prevalent now, what I kind of like to capture is within that frame, an honest representation of what's happening rather than kind of too much Photoshop. So it's the same with like the Pink Bear work when I've kind of traveled to these mountains and stuff. It's like, I think by actually going and doing it and, really capturing it.
Could you tell us about those projects where you were traveling and taking pictures yourself in the landscape? Yeah,
so it's like quite extreme locations. So like, I think 2 years ago, I went to Mongolia. I had to learn to ride a horse. I'd always had a fear of horses.
Really?
And did 2 weeks on horseback, and it was like sleeping in -15.
Wow.
And like the outside of your sleeping bag would freeze.
Oh my God.
And it was just
Yeah.
you know, it's about capturing the images to then come back and create a body of
Mm.
work. So I always kind of push myself,
Yeah.
like mentally and physically, to kind of create the work rather than just kind of, you know, sitting in front of a computer. It's about actually experiencing it.
Yeah, I love that about your work. It shows in the scale as well. You know, your understanding of space and the landscape. Can you tell me about your relationship with the mental health charity Mind?
So Mind is important to me because I've obviously worked with therapists in the past to kind of improve my own mental health, and I think it's important that people that maybe can't afford to kind of pay privately have access to that support. And you know, it covers the whole of the UK. And if people, you know, no matter what it is, there's that space that they can have to talk to someone, and it just kind of will help them kind of, I don't know, either get things off the chest or kind of, if it's something deeper, then, you know, they can help them find the right people. So for me, kind of working with them means that I can support them with any sales from the exhibition.
Yeah, it's such an incredible collaboration, and it really, like, you know, it reflects directly in the work that you've done. The conversation between Mind and your work is so strong. Like, I love being a witness to that. And the bottle factory as well. We've been looking for a space for so long together, and you know, we wanted the perfect space for the works because you've been working so hard and so long on these paintings, and we were so happy when we went to visit the bottle factory, especially in the use of their spaces. There are so many different elements which you're using in your work and your different visual languages. Could you tell us about?
I think what kind of drew me to it was kind of the scale of the space. So, like I said, we've obviously been looking for a space for a while, and this kind of connected with the work because it's beautiful but decayed at the same time, and I think that's kind of a language within my work. So the space kind of resonated with that, but also I think being able to enter this space from outside and kind of it opens up, so there's this kind of openness to the space as well. And what I like is there's several rooms, so we can kind of show the different areas within the work. So like we're going to have the room for the photography projections, the room for the paintings, and then you know, creating this photo moment on the opening. Yeah.
I love what you just said about your work, the decay in your work as well. Can you tell me more about that?
So you can see it in this piece in the top corner. There's a wallpaper pattern, and that's actually from my childhood home that I kind of recreated. And like me and my brother used to pick off the little bits of wallpaper, and it kind of got me wondering about each year we'd kind of paint it with a fresh layer of colour. So it's like within my work I kind of wanted to create that sense of depth and layering and time.
I see.
Within the work. So it's kind of, I kind of think of it as exquisite decay. So like, you know, like when you go to these countries and see like kind of walls crumbling and wonder what it was like. It's like just layers within the work, within the mind.
I love that. That's so clever because it's such a great allegory for life, just generally, right?
Yeah, because we just have so many layers. And it's like, for me, within the work, again, the mirrors are kind of about these broken moments. They're kind of about the different directions that life can take, and so that's why the series is called Lifelines, because it's like, you know, life never feels like it's a straight line. It's kind of always dodging and changing and moving direction. And I think that's kind of how we have these many sides to one personality. You know, it's not about being broken, it's whole but different sides to ourselves.
I love that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love ending on this. This is good.